thepascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well out there. We have an update that I wanted to share with you guys really quick, and it all revolves around the Idaho 4 tragedy that happened a few years ago. And let me tell you something. This is some really interesting stuff. Now they are saying that there's a possibility that Bryan Kohberger, the man who is alleged of doing these unthinkable things, could actually walk free. There's a potential. He could potentially walk free specifically because of DNA evidence. Now, the thing is this is something that they talked about during this hearing that they had a few weeks ago, but now it's starting to resurface because, of course, Bryan Kohberger's lawyer is doing everything that she can to get this man, as I call him, Coco, okay, BK, they're trying to get him out. And they're saying because of this DNA, this new DNA evidence that they had for a long time, but was never mentioned out in the public, they feel like this man should be free and that he is not the culprit. I believe, of course, that this guy has a lot to do with it. Maybe he's not the only one to do it, but he was there for sure. That's what I believe. That's what I truly believe. But now we have Ann Taylor, his lawyer, using this new DNA evidence to try to get this man free. This is very interesting. We have got to take a look at this article, okay? And this is insane, all right? So the attorneys for the Idaho unalivings, the Idaho tragedy suspect, Bryan Kohberger, who, of course, is the only one who has been detained thus far, okay? And, there is a good possibility that there's other people involved, but we'll talk about that more here in a second. They have revealed explosive new evidence that they hope will see the accused unaliver or monster set free. The criminology student's lawyer claimed that blood from an unknown man was found on a handrail in the victim's home. So there was blood found on a handrail from an unknown man on the handrail inside the Idaho 4 tragedy, inside the home where this tragedy ensued, right? Then there was another's DNA was found on a glove on the outside of the house. That's insane. This information, which was mentioned in their hearing just a few weeks ago, was the first time that information was dropped, right? Bombshell of information, right? The shot claims may offer a glimpse at Kohberger's defense strategy for when he stands in trial in August, okay? So, and of course, he's looking at the possibility of the ultimate price, paying the ultimate price, the DP. All right. So Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson previously addressed the presence of DNA from unidentified men, acknowledging they were never uploaded to the FBI's database because they, quote unquote, were not eligible. This is what some reports have been claiming. Although the samples had been recognized in court filings last year, it was not previously known that at least 2 of the DNA samples had come from actual blood. Kohberger's attorney, Ann Taylor, criticized authorities in his latest hearing as she said police did not disclose the unidentified blood when obtaining a search warrant for his arrest in 2022, December of 2022, which prosecutors did not dispute. Taylor argued this should disqualify some evidence collected in the search as it was not properly authorized. Again, when they went into his home, they went busting into his home and all that stuff. They're saying, and then of course they were able to obtain more DNA, more samples of his DNA through trash cans and all that stuff. They're basically trying to say like they got all that evidence unlawfully, that they got in other words, Bryan Kohberger could walk over a technicality. Now, this is something that we've talked about years ago, a while back, okay, when this first started, okay, when the investigation happened, when he was actually arrested, what Ann Taylor and his team were presenting at that time, she is still holding true and tightly to that argument, saying, hey, that stuff that was found in his parents' home, wherever you obtained this DNA, was obtained unlawfully. She still believes that, right? So, but a judge said that that there was a still probable cause because Bryan Kohberger's DNA was found on the knife sheath at the scene of this tragedy. Abso-freaking-lutely. Like I said before, I've said this in the past when we talked about this, when it was this case was very big at that time. Absolutely. You gotta be kidding me that they're not going to see probable cause if his DNA was found on the knife sheath at the actual scene of the crime. Come on, guys, right? But then it also makes you wonder, why weren't they looking into the other DNA, the other evidence that was found by from these other unidentified men? But we're going to talk about some of that here in a second. The move was part of a broader strategy from Taylor to challenge evidence against Kohberger in a Frank's hearing, which appeals a judge's probable cause finding and therefore discredits evidence found in a search. And of course, these are, of course, the four right here. Man, and I mean, the families are still grieving. The families are still having to deal with this every single day. It's absolutely terrible, right? The judge in Kohberger's case has not yet granted a ruling on allowing a Frank's hearing to go forward, which prosecutors are opposing, as they say key evidence connects Kohberger to this grisly tragedy. Among most pivotal pieces of evidence is that actual knife sheath, which was found in a bed where two of the students were slain. All right. Authorities said they identified Bryan Kohberger's DNA on the sheath through genetic genealogy testing, which compared the sample with data from public databases that came from the suspect's distant relatives. Okay. Now, his lawyer, Taylor, has also argued that using public databases to identify Kohberger through his relatives without their knowledge was a violation of his rights. It comes as the case against Kohberger, who has not appeared in court for 3 months, all right, has been delayed several times since his arrest in December of 2022, with the accused monster now set to stand trial in August of 2025. And of course, when this whole thing goes down, when that does go down, because I don't think that this is going to be a situation where he's going to walk free. I really don't think so. Okay. But there is still that possibility. It's still on the table if what Ann Taylor is presenting is a strong argument. If and only if it is a strong argument. But I do have to say, I mean, I agree with the judge. I agree with the judge because you got to remember, it's all probable cause. If they found DNA on a knife sheath in the place, yeah, I think it's probable cause if they were able to use data, genealogy and all that stuff, okay, DNA, and do all this database stuff, and they were able to do whatever, technological witchcraft that they do to find out that this was indeed Bryan Kohberger. I mean, let's be real. That's one way of zeroing it in and getting the monster. And I do think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's right, okay, to automatically sit there and say that, oh, it's, because you didn't ask for permission to get his DNA. You didn't ask for permission to research his genealogy and find him through this way. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, come on, there's plenty of monsters and people hiding in plain sight that will use that opportunity to try to get away with unaliving somebody like that if they don't have detectives and law enforcement doing what they do in the shadows. You see what I'm saying? It would just be kind of ridiculous for them to sit there and go, well, Bryan Kohberger was supposed to sign off on the allowing them to use genealogy research to find him. I think that's ridiculous in my personal opinion. Okay. This is how you catch people, right? This is how you get these monsters, period, point blank. But what I think is interesting is that most importantly, is that there were 2 other DNA samples of other men that were in the room, or one was outside on a glove, DNA was found on a glove, and another one was found on a handrail. Now, I know that's kind of old news. I know some of y'all are going to be like, Pascal, that's old news. Well, like I said, now she's using that and saying, hey, there's proof that there were two other people in that house. We don't know whether or not it was during that time, during that crime, or if it was something else. God only knows. It could be college students running in and out. I don't know. Somebody may have nicked themselves while shaving, and that's why why you found red on the handrail. I don't know, right? I'm just throwing out possibilities, but at the same time, though, the fact that they were able to find other DNA in that room or in that house and just on the premises of the house tells you a little bit of something. It says that there's a possibility that Bryan Kohberger did not work alone. I still believe that Bryan Kohberger has something to do, has something to do with this. Okay, it's not a something. I believe he did something. He did this. Maybe he just didn't operate alone. Let's not forget, what happened throughout that house happened pretty damn fast. So it does make you wonder, did he really operate alone? It doesn't matter if he's the fittest mother lover on this planet. He ain't the Flash. So was he really able to do this all by himself? Those are questions that still remain to be answered. But does that mean Bryan Kohberger should walk free and get out over the fact that there's other DNA that was found in the room? Hell no. Or found in the house? Hell to the no. But what say you guys? I just wanted to give you guys that update because this is something very interesting. And of course, that'd be wild if you walked free over a technicality, I guess. Over the fact that there's other DNA in the house? No, you keep him locked up and you find those two other unidentified men, right? And it's been years. Why haven't they done anything with those two samples of DNA from these two unidentified men? Here's the problem. This is the problem I hate, is the word unidentified. So these two men, their DNA's in there somewhere that was found, and they're still unidentified. That's a huge problem to me, guys. That's a huge problem. They need to find whoever those two guys are. If they have anything to do with this, find them, interrogate them, and stick them with, hit them with the law if they have something to do with this. But anyway, guys, what say you guys? What are your thoughts? Do you think he should walk free because of this or no? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. Crush that subscribe button, and we'll talk very, very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.